What is going on, YouTube? How is you all today? I am here again with another deck profile for you guys. It is my very long overdue Nova Grappler deck with Azure Dragons, the Azure Dragon build. This deck, set 6 has been out for some time, but I just haven't got time to actually put this deck up. And I wanted to test the deck out a little bit more so that I can actually put up a good deck that has actually been tested and I feel it's good. But I did some testing with it and made some last minute changes, of course, that I felt will make this deck better. So I will be posting the deck list in my description below in case you want to hear me talk about the deck. It's right there below for you guys to save you some time. But if you want to hear me talk about the deck and know how it works, stay tuned. So, first with the starting Vanguard, you have Diety, White Tiger. He is the newer, better starter. More ideal starter, that is, for Nova Grapplers. What I like about him better than Battleraizer is that he can actually stay on the field and continue boosting rather than go back to the deck. His second skill is pretty situational, but it's more late game. Whenever attack hits for a unit that he boosted, you counterblast one, put him in the soul, you stand a Diety, rear guard. You're mainly going to use that for my Azure. I mainly use it for Azure Dragons. Like if my opponent does not see it coming, then I just do it. I use a skill, stand him up, and they act surprised, like wow. I don't know, at least with my experience. But yeah, he's good. Then I'm going to start off with my grade 3s. You're going to have 4 copies of Azure Dragon and 4 copies of Azure Kaiser. That's it. I don't really like Lion Heat in this deck, because one, I don't own any, and since I'm not in love with him, I'm not going to put him in the deck. And 2, I like that these 2 guys are 11Ks, because they're the best ideal Vanguard choices to have. Now, Azure Dragon, of course, is the brand new boss monster, I guess you could say, for Nova Grapplers. He has a Persona Blast, so whenever he hits a Vanguard, while he's in the Vanguard circle, when his attack hits Vanguard, you discard a copy of himself to stand 2 of your rear guards. Now, pretty much your opponent's always going to block him. Like, I can tell you that like 95% of the time when I was testing this deck out, everyone blocked him. So, this is a good way to bait out shield, to really burn cards from your opponent, and it kind of creates openings for your rear guards to kind of go in for free hits, because a lot of times your opponent's just going to save their shield on him. So, I like him. So I run 4 of him, because, anything that's Persona Blast should be ran at 4. And I ran 4 Azure Kaisers. Basically, if you can't get your Azure Dragons to ride, like, turn 3, Azure Kaiser is just as good, if not better. Because he's Azure Kaiser, he's just awesome. So, either or is good. So, 4 of each. Next, for grade 2s, you have 4 copies of King of Sword, 3 copies of Brutal Jack, or Genocide Jack, whichever you prefer. 3 copies of Diety Black Tortoise. He is obviously the new Diety card for Nova Grapplers. What he does is whenever he hits a Vanguard, you get to search the top 5 cards of your deck to look for an Azure Dragon, and you add it to your hand. Simple. It kind of sucks that he is an 8K, but with the grade 1 lineup you do run, you can still hit magic numbers with him, like 15 or 16. And usually if I turn 2, if I have him and like another grade 2, I usually just ride him in the Vanguard, because a lot of times my opponents don't block him when he's in the Vanguard. So I just run 3 of them. 3's fine. You'll see him enough to use it, and I don't know. I don't really care about abusing his skill that much. And then next I run 2 Magical Gold Kiaras. I've been watching a lot of decks online for this before I actually built this deck, and I noticed that a lot of guys were not running this. And I felt that Kiara is still good in this deck. It's still good to use, just because, it's always good just to smack rear guards with it and just get a free +1. And it helps bait out shield too for my opponent. Like, I actually faced a couple guys testing this, and they were so paranoid of her for some reason. They just did not want me to draw cards. I was like, okay, whatever, fine. But that's kind of why I'm not running 4 Brutal Jacks, because I want to kind of have it so that my counter blast can be distributed pretty evenly, so I don't really have to pick and choose between them, because that's what happened when I ran 4 of him before. But Kiara I really like. Like, I previously was not running her either, but the minute I put her in, it really did help me win a lot of games, because the card advantage is just too good. And next, for grade 1s, you have 4 copies of Tough Boy. Always run your 8Ks, simple as that. 3 copies of Screamin and Dancin Announcer Shout. I don't know how they fit all that text in there. And run 3 copies of Claydol Mechanic just because I am going to be utilize a decent amount of Counterblast with Kiara's and Brutal Jack. Not as much as you would think, but I just want it because he's still a good 7K booster, which you'll still hit your magic numbers of 16 with Kiara. And also, I mean, I never want to be in a situation where I have to choose between using Kiara or using Jack. I hate being in situations like that. So he's pretty good. And then 3 copies of Twin Blader. Now, as you notice, I'm not running Beast 80 Scarlet Bird, as you see here. He has the same exact effect as Black Tortoise. The reason why I'm not running him is for a couple of reasons. One, he's the one who has to hit. It's not like I felt like this card would have been a lot better if it's like if a unit that hits that he boosted, but the card would be too broken at that point. And I mean, I would run like instead of the Claydol mechanics, I'll probably run 3 of him or her, whatever. But I mean, unless you get a first turn, you can have a White Tiger in the rear guard, and then you have her. You can swing for 11. No one's gonna guard that. But I mean, I don't think it's that important. Plus, I only own like 2 of them, and I want to run 3. And I'm not in love with the card to go out of my way to get it. I just like Claydols because I like 7 better than 6, and like I said, I want to be able to utilize my Counterblast without having to pick and choose between. So I don't know. I didn't like Scarlet Bird that much. I felt like Claydol just played a better role. But that's my lineup here. I actually would run a 4th shield, but I don't own a 4th one, and I don't even know what to take out for it, to be honest. So that's my lineup there. Now next is my triggers. You're going to have 4 Battleraizer, 4 Turboraizers, the same exact thing as Battleraizer, 4 Shining Ladies for crits, and 4 heal. Now my previous build, what I was testing, is I actually did not run any crits. I just ran 8 stand and 4 draws because I always said that 4 draws is a staple in every deck. One problem I have with the deck is now stands are always good. They're very tricky. They're really good at like working around 0 shields, which is kind of funny to me. But I kind of miss not having crits just because, you want to, especially early game, if you can hit your crits. It's very important in this deck to get extra damage in on your opponent because this deck is not very defensive. It's more offensive based. But a problem I had with the deck was when I didn't run crits was it was very offensive based, but I was never really able to push a lot of damage that I wanted to. That's one thing with the deck. That's kind of why I didn't run Kiaras before because I ran draw triggers, but I instead ran 2 Kiaras and then took out the draws and put crits in. So it's very offensive based. I mean, still good with this lineup because pretty much before, the ideal setup I did when I played, you pretty much have like one Azure, let's say you have like one Azure Dragon, 1 rear guard person, blah blah blah, and then, typical boosters like this. Like before, I would just do something like I would just attack the rear guards first and then attack the Vanguard. I just did it brainlessly. And the problem was, my opponent can easily guard at least one of them, and then they just drop a 0 shield on him. So if I hit a stand trigger, okay, they can block it with a 5 or whatever, with a 10 shield. I mean, they could usually block it pretty easily. But now that I run crits, it just gives my opponent something else to think about. Because they're usually always going to block the Vanguard. So, I can easily attack with 1 rear guard and then leave this open. So if I hit a crit, I can just put it on him and then swing for a lot. And if I hit a stand, I'll stand him. So it just puts more pressure on my opponent. It's kind of funny because some of my opponents did not even think I ran crits, and then they just take all the Vanguard hits, and then they get smacked with a crit. It's kind of funny. But yeah, that's pretty much the playstyle I have with the deck. In terms of its competitiveness, I don't think this deck, I can't really consider this deck top tier. It does have its troubles. It's not very defensive, and it has good offensive capabilities, but it doesn't really have that extra power. The extra power I feel to really push for games. Like Spike Brothers obviously have a rate to rush your opponent when it needs to. Kageros can just blow your opponent's crap up, so they have nothing to defend with. And Gold Paladins, I mean, they just get pluses on their field for no reason. But Nova Grapplers, I think they're really fun to play, and they can be very tricky, but I think they're missing that extra push late games to really, put the hammer down on your opponent to help close out games, which is why I don't consider them top tier decks. But I think it could definitely make some noise in the competitions. But that's how I feel about it. But other than that, guys, that is my deck. I haven't done too much testing with it, but this is what I came up with based on what I was playing against at my locals and what my playstyle is. If you have any questions, leave a comment below. I will definitely answer them for you. Like I said, I have the deck list below. And if you have any suggestions, like if you've been, like I just got started with Nova Grapplers. I never actually played them. Like I had friends who had them. So if you have any suggestions for me, definitely let me know. I'm open to constructive criticism. But other than that, guys, please definitely like this video if you want to see this deck in action. And definitely subscribe if you like what you see. Other than that, guys, thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys later.